Scientists just built an AI chip using actual living neurons, real brain cells that breathe, adapt, and learn on their own. This isn't some far future concept. It's happening right now in Baltimore, where a startup called Biological Blackbox has created the Bionode, a processor made from lab-grown human and rat neurons. Here's the mind-bending part. While your GPU burns through electricity like a cryptocurrency mining farm, these living neurons sip power like they're barely awake. And unlike traditional chips that need expensive retraining every time they encounter new data, these biological processors literally rewire themselves as they learn. We're not just talking about mimicking biology anymore. We're talking about using biology as the computer itself. And this could change everything we know about AI hardware. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Traditional AI hardware is an environmental disaster. Training a single large language model like GPT consumes energy equivalent to the lifetime emissions of several cars. When researchers trained Bloom, an open-source model with 176 billion parameters, it generated nearly 50 metric tons of CO2. That's the carbon footprint of driving around the Earth twice. And it's getting worse. As AI models grow more complex, we're pushing silicon chips to their absolute limits. GPUs from Nvidia and AMD are expensive to produce, draw massive amounts of electricity, and here's the kicker: they're fundamentally not designed for how AI actually needs to work. Think about it. Your brain doesn't shut down and retrain every time you learn something new, but that's exactly what we're doing with AI. Every time a model encounters new data, we have to retrain the entire system, burning through thousands of dollars in computing costs and enough electricity to power a small town. This linear, rigid approach is becoming a bottleneck as AI gets integrated into more industries where real-time learning is crucial. Imagine a medical AI that has to go offline for retraining every time new research comes out, or a self-driving car that can't adapt to new road conditions without sending data back to a massive data center. The solution? Stop fighting biology and start using it. Here's where things get absolutely wild. Biological Blackbox took stem cells from humans and rats, grew actual neurons in a lab, and then integrated them into a dish containing 4,096 electrodes. The result? A living AI processor that thinks, learns, and adapts using real brain cells. But let me be clear, this isn't some science fiction brain in a jar. These aren't conscious or self-aware. BBB isn't trying to create artificial consciousness. They're building task-specific networks using just enough neurons to handle certain AI functions. Think of it as a minimalist biological coprocessor built for pure efficiency. And here's what makes it incredible. These neurons naturally rewire themselves in response to new stimuli. That's biology's superpower, plasticity. While silicon transistors are locked into rigid pathways, living neurons constantly adapt and form new connections. It's like having hardware that upgrades itself in real time. The process is surprisingly elegant. You feed data, let's say an image, into the system as electrical signals. The neurons process this information in parallel, adapting their connections as they go. Then, the electrode array captures the output and converts it back to digital information. It's a biological computer that speaks the language of both life and silicon. And get this, these neurons live for over a year in these setups, making them surprisingly stable for long-term use. We're not talking about delicate lab experiments. We're talking about practical, durable computing hardware made from living tissue.
Now, let's talk about what this living chip can actually do, because the results are mind-blowing. In computer vision tasks, Bionode acts as a pre-processing layer before GPU inference. The neurons process and filter incoming image data, reducing the computational burden on traditional processors. The results? Faster inference times, lower power consumption, and, here's the kicker, higher classification accuracy in some cases. The biological neurons are actually outperforming traditional pre-processing methods while using a fraction of the energy. But it gets even better with language models. While training and fine-tuning large language models is currently energy-intensive and time-consuming, BBB claims their biological networks can provide a continuously learning layer that doesn't need retraining every time new data arrives. Picture this. You have a language model running in a hospital. Traditionally, when new medical research comes out, you'd need to shut down the system, retrain it on the new data, and then redeploy it, a process that takes weeks and costs thousands of dollars. With Bionode, the biological layer learns from new medical data in real time while the main model stays running. It's like having a living update system that never stops learning. This has massive implications for industries like healthcare, where real-time adaptation could be life or death, or robotics, where devices need to learn on the fly without relying on massive cloud-based GPUs. We're talking about AI that truly adapts to its environment instead of being locked into pre-trained patterns. Here's the really smart part. BBB isn't trying to replace GPUs entirely. They're part of Nvidia's Inception program, working toward a hybrid future where biological and silicon components collaborate. As CEO Alex Kozynzovsky puts it, we're not replacing GPUs, we're augmenting them. Imagine a modular computing ecosystem where different processors play to their strengths. Biological chips like Bionode handle learning and adaptation, the creative, flexible stuff. GPUs and CPUs handle bulk data processing, the heavy computational lifting, and eventually, quantum computers tackle complex simulations that require massive parallelization. This isn't just wishful thinking. BBB is relocating from Baltimore to the Bay Area to commercialize Bionode and integrate it into enterprise systems. They're already running pilot projects with undisclosed partners. And while we don't have independent verification yet, the tech and research communities are paying serious attention. We're looking at a fundamental shift in how we think about computing. Instead of building machines that simulate intelligence, we're building machines that use the same biological components that create intelligence in nature. It's the difference between drawing a picture of fire and actually lighting a match. The implications go way beyond just better performance. We're talking about sustainable AI that doesn't require massive data centers, real-time learning that happens at the edge, and adaptive systems that get smarter through use rather than expensive retraining cycles. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. We're literally using living tissue in our computers. BBB has been upfront about the ethical concerns, working with ethicists and regulatory experts from day one. They emphasize that these neurons aren't organized into conscious structures. They're task-specific networks designed for processing, not thinking. But as this technology advances, we're going to face questions we've never had to answer before. How should machines built from living cells be treated? Do lab-grown neural systems have any rights? Where do we draw the line between computational tool and living entity? If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment below with your thoughts on biological computing, and subscribe to the channel for more cutting-edge tech insights. These questions will become more pressing as biological computing moves forward. Today's Bionode is strictly utilitarian, a living calculator, not a digital brain. But the technology that starts with processing images could eventually lead to systems that blur the line between artificial and biological intelligence. The Bionode represents more than just a new type of processor. It's a fundamental challenge to how we think about computation itself. For decades, we've been trying to make silicon behave more like biology. Now, we're just cutting out the middleman and using biology directly. This living chip offers continuous learning without retraining, massive energy savings, and adaptability that traditional hardware simply can't match. It's sustainable AI, real-time learning, and biological computation all rolled into one revolutionary package. We're witnessing the birth of a new category of AI hardware, not just inspired by intelligence, but built from the same components that powered it in nature. The age of biological computing has begun, and it's going to change everything we thought we knew about artificial intelligence. Welcome to the future where your computer might just be alive.